Hi everyone, I'm Josie. I'm a social worker, spirit counselor, and a psychic. Today I have an amazing guest with me, which is Rhonda. I've already typed and told her like in the title. So this is a live broadcast, and this is the first time that I'm doing this in English. So please bear with me if I'm speaking something the wrong way. Okay, Rhonda, how about you introduce yourself for a little bit?
Okay, I'm Rhonda Whetham. I'm a shamanist, and I have 30 years in this field of wisdom. I have many tickets. As we say here in Australia, we have to have a ticket for everything that we talk about. Yeah. And shamanism comes from Siberia, the name shaman. And it comes from the Tungus area of Siberia. And people that are taught shamanism don't call themselves a shaman. They call themselves a shamanist.
That's interesting. That's
the first like time Buddhists. Like a Buddhist or a Taoist.
Like the differences between Buddha and a Buddhist.
I think a Buddhist would be someone that follows the Buddhism, traditions of Buddhism. Yeah. And there's many different ways that people are trained in shamanism. And I was trained through the Foundation for Shamanic Studies in California. Michael Harner, he's passed away now. And I was trained with Elida Birch and Reed Hart from Birch Grove in Eugene, Oregon. And 30 years ago, how I got into it was 30 years ago I was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And they told me I had 3 months to live. 3 months to live. You're out of here. Get everything ready.
That's an amazing story.
I know. And I just knew they were not telling me the truth. And so I had a Christian background. I grew up Christian and was baptized in my early 20s. So I was, I carried spirituality with me quite a bit of my life. The part about living from love, living, from no harm to do no harm, which actually is a lot about Buddhism is, no harm, don't ever do any harm. And so I met a spiritual counselor the same week I got diagnosed, and she worked with me every week, taught me energy, taught me all about energy, that everything is energetic in the world, and shamans are gardeners of energy.
Shamans, the gardeners
of energy. So we actually can have energy grow or not grow. We can manipulate energy.
That's interesting.
And that is coined by Sandra Ingerman, which I follow on YouTube, Sandra Ingerman. And my teacher, Elida Birch, was trained by Sandra Ingerman. She is a very good person to go to learn about things. I do teach here, but it's more of a Western way to be taught. And you asked me just before about using drugs and things.
Because nowadays we kind of have a myth about what is shaman, what shaman can do, and what is a shamanism. And I think from my cultural background, we don't really have a lot of training, or the shaman could be mingled or entwined within our local culture. So it might be a little bit different. And nowadays, the young people or young generation, they kind of brought the concept from the Western world, or from the outside of the East culture. So shaman is part of it, and we just brought it like anything in. It could be just a journey. It could be the concept. It could be the recognition of the nature. So it would include the part of using drugs. as a way of getting enlightened.
Michael Harner, the way we were taught with the foundation, you do not use the drugs. A lot of people do use drugs. Some of my students had trouble using percussion. I use the drum. We use the drum to go into altered state of consciousness. And people nowadays, we weren't born into an indigenous tribe. We weren't chosen by a grandmother or a grandfather when we were 1 year old or 2 years old and went away, sent away with them and learned the ways of to be the healer. Shaman, the word shaman means healer.
The word shaman means healer.
Yes. And shamans from Siberia, from Australia, indigenous Australia, from Peru, from Mexico, from Alaska, Canada, every single one of them have a culture with their shaman. But it's a spiritual tribal healer, kind of. And most of the time, if you're indigenous, you are chosen when you're very young. And when we get called to shamanism, or as a healer, we get called to be a healer. And that's my journey, is I was called through my near-death experience.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are called through major things, but you don't have to be. You don't have to go through a near-death experience to learn to be a healer and to help people. You don't have to. I have to keep reiterating that.
Like, we don't really need to heal us like a near died and then heal people.
No, you don't need to be sick for years to do this. And we all have in our DNA, because we are all from the Soon tribe in deep dark Africa, was the very first oldest person on earth, and we all come from those genes. They've done genetic testing, and we've all come from there. And so in our DNA, and all of us, we do have a program, but that program needs to be turned on.
Oh, yeah.
And that program can get turned on by a desire to help people.
Yeah.
And it can be turned on by our challenges.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And a lot of people, when they go through challenges, end up going more to their darker side.
Yeah.
And spirit, all that is, whatever you call it, the God source, universal life force energy, whatever you call that, there's only one energy in the world. And that energy allows us free choice. And that energy allows good things to happen and allows bad things to happen. And those bad things are challenges. We all have to go through challenges, every one of us, whether we're on our journey, our spiritual journey, or if we're just an everyday person.
Yeah.
Before we're born, we decide what we're going to learn and grow, how we're going to grow in this life.
Yeah.
And the only way we grow is challenges.
Exactly. I think that's so interesting because you're talking about energy. Yeah. And you're talking about there's not a bad energy or a good energy. It's just one energy that allows us to do things. Actually, I read something this morning about energy, and it says, it pretty much like how I feel about energy. Like energy is like the water, right? The water could have a different temperature. So the energy would have a different frequencies or vibrate rates.
Yeah.
And the water is just water itself. It can be like the ocean water contains a lot of salt. It can be like a fresh water. It can be orange juice, and it can be contaminated, like the poisoned water. So, but the water is just water itself, and it has the motivation or can push us to do things and keep us alive, like in our body. And it's pretty much just like energy.
Yeah.
Because it's just one energy, right? And water is just water.
Just water.
Yeah.
And water carries a vibration.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we can actually manipulate water like we manipulate energy. You know, we can freeze it. We can turn it to steam.
Yeah.
We can do lots of different things with water.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's why like a shaman work with elements, like through the energy and work with the elements, right?
Yeah.
Is that
a lot of people, most shaman people or shamanist, I'm going to say shamanist because if you call yourself a shaman and you brag all about it, your power is going to be taken away from you. It is. It is true. That is a true thing. And, you know, if you see, and we talked about this a little bit ago, and Josie and I, we've had quite a few different conversations over the last few years.
Yeah.
And particularly if you want to help people and you see someone in need, and like I get a lot of phone calls. Oh, my son or my daughter, they're ill. Will you work on them? They live here. Their name is this. And I say, that person has to call me themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they have to ask me themselves. And if that is us putting our will on someone else, their journey might be to be ill for a while, to go through that challenge, that change that they need to learn. There's a learning experience and if we interfere with that learning experience, then we wear it later. And as a healer or a counselor, you don't tell people to leave their partner, change jobs. What you do is you give them tools for them to make their free choice. Yeah. We have to carry all that stuff if we do those things.
Are you looking at what?
I know, I was just looking at you.
I thought you were looking at some spirits like behind me.
I see spirits, but I see them when I'm in non-ordinary reality. What we do is we call this ordinary reality, this reality, when our everyday world. And then when we get an altered state of consciousness in a deep state, we call that non-ordinary reality.
Yeah. So in shaman's reality, how many realities that shaman sees?
Could be hundreds. It could be. See, we actually live in the quantum field where there's no time. And so we have everything is happening at once. Our past, our present, our future is all happening at once.
Yeah.
And so where we go is we have a direct intention.
Yeah.
So first you start with an intention.
Yeah.
And then that will take you, in that quantum field, it'll take you to the spirits that will help you. It will take you to your answers.
Yeah.
And it will show it to you either in a myth or in a story, or it will be a direct thing. Like when I do soul retrievals for people, sometimes I get a total direct experience. I'll say, oh, when you were 12 years old, in my journey, I saw you fall into a dam and you had someone rescued you out of there and you lost a piece of your soul because you were so frightened.
You saw mine.
That one wasn't yours. That was actually someone else.
But you saw mine, like the real thing. Like
I saw a real thing.
Yeah.
Do you want to share?
Yeah. Rhonda did a journey with me, and so when I was a teenager, like I started so hard, and I keep looking back at my shoulder, and you have that picture. Like,
I did.
Yeah, and in Rhonda's mind, and Rhonda just came back to me from the journey and asked me, "Are you okay when you were a little girl?" And that is the piece of a soul that, from a shaman side, the piece of a soul that I left when I get, like, our soul can get hurt. Or be traumatized, and we left a part of it at that time.
And that's a coping mechanism, and we all do it. And it's very important for people that want to go into any healing modality to be healed themselves. I think everybody needs good energy balances, soul retrieval. That's a couple of things that I think is so important. And and you can do them distance-wise. The person doesn't have to be actually there.
Yeah.
There was a man that was working in the mines a few years ago, and I did a soul retrieval over the internet, and he felt it hit him. Yeah. And my teacher, Elida, she's done healing for me from America, and I felt the energy enter me. So,
because in the soul area, there is no distance.
There is no distance in that quantum field.
Yeah.
There is no distance. So it's all about practice, practice, practice.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I'm serious. I practiced at 5 years. I went to many trainings and practice. And finally, Elida said, when are you going to start working on people other than just in all these workshops? And I said, I don't know. I came to this work for my healing first.
Yeah.
And so then I did start. Yeah.
So for all of us who's interested in shaman or shamanism, if someone wants to be a shamanist or wants to be a healer, is there any eligibilities or if there's any criterias for the people like who would be suitable or who's not going to be suitable?
Well, I think the most important thing is to have a pure heart, a loving heart, because that energy is something that is very, very real, and those spirit guides are real, and so you have to be very brave. You actually have to be quite brave to do this kind of work. It isn't that when I go into the non-ordinary reality and I start speaking to the power animals and the spirit guides, it was hard at first for me to believe they were real. But I've been doing this 30 years and I have too many things that I see in the spirit world that materialize in the real world. And a person that calls themselves a shamanist and they practice this, their real thing that they can be judged by, the only thing they can be judged by is how good their clients get healed. So it's not about you, it's about your being able to connect to those spirit guides and those power animals. They do most of the healing. You are the hollow bone. You watch, you ask questions, so you need to know how to ask the right questions. You need to know, you need to be willing to go and to where that soul part might be. I've been down in dungeons in the 14th century. I've been 9 lives back with a woman out into the Netherlands. Your soul can be stolen soul pieces can be stolen in relationships. You can willingly give them away. If your partner is dying of a serious illness and you love them so much and you don't want them to go alone and you want to still be with them, you can unwillingly or unconsciously, there's no unwillingness here, you can unconsciously give them a piece of your soul. And then how are you living in your life? You're not completely there. You need to be whole and complete, really, to make good choices in your life. So a soul retrieval is a big thing for people to get.
Yeah. I think it's quite important because recently I'm doing not in a shaman way, of course, but just like my own meditation.
Sure.
It's kind of like how to say that? It's like a past like traveler, or just travel to your past, like meditate.
Like a spirit walker.
Pretty much like that, and I walk to my past. and I saw the broken me.
Yeah.
That one, like you.
Yes.
I'm still healing her.
Yeah.
Recently, but when I get back, it's not to use some magical things. I just sit there and be with her.
Yeah. And you get friends with her again.
And the interesting thing, you know what? Just like when she becomes the real her, like she's a rocking go. And this chakra has the reaction strongly. Like I didn't really realize that is my solar plexus chakra. It's right. Yeah, it's a solar chakra here. I thought it was supposed to be like my logical mind thought it's supposed to be my heart chakra, but no, it's the solar.
This is where your personal power resides, and you had given away that soul part was your personal power was gone.
Yeah.
So this was needed to be healed too.
Yeah, that's why I don't have confidence like before that. Yeah. But when she's showing that rock and roll face, and here it's like boom, boom, boom.
Well, yeah. It was gathering up the power.
That's the thing. Yeah. So I do agree. Like, you know, I might have a different. Like, I just don't understand like the shaman.
Well, so what happens, you got the soul part back energetically, but you had to keep it here. That soul part was very young, and you're a lot older, so you had to make friends with that part and catch it up to your age.
Yeah. So
you had to, you know, make friends with it and tell it was safe to stay still. Yeah. So it's a lot of work. It's not... I bring the energy back, but then you have to do the work.
Yeah.
The spirit work to keep it there.
So it's not to
the healing work,
So it's not to say, like, for example, if we come to you and for a soul retrieval and to bring this soul piece back to us, it doesn't mean everything's going to be all right. It means like we still got a lot of work to do by ourselves, right?
We have to. You have to integrate that soul piece. And so it's 3 treatments, you know. First, we talk about what soul retrieval is, and then we decide that you do need one or don't need one, and you agree. Yeah. That's a big thing, is about your agreement. And then I go to my spirit animal that does, I have a specific guide that does that for me. And so he has to agree. And then we fly off to the soul part. And then the soul part, we have to negotiate with the soul part for it to agree to come back. Yeah. And then once it comes back and we blow the energy in, then you have to regrow that part with you again. Yeah, because I can share from my experience with the soul retrieval, the energy is pretty real. Oh yeah, the energy is real. Like at least you felt it. Yeah, it's real for me. So I can feel that kind of energy is coming in, but I would take some times or a couple of days or weeks to readjust it or absorb it or, you know, digest that parts of the energy. Yeah. And in the meantime, my life would have like a little thing that happened to, you know, to align with that kind of energy, because past and present and future, we exist at the same time. We're what, 86% water or something like that? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and we definitely need water. And when I get excited about my work, my throat chakra loves to get a little crazy on me. Now. You okay? It's just from my throat chakra. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I wonder, people have been writing, are there questions? Or? Is there any questions that you guys wanted to ask us, or not really? That is my best friend. Like one of my best friends, I'll tell you the story later. Okay. Yeah, he killed me when I was in Egypt. Oh no! In a good way. In a good way. In a good way. He wants to
he wants me die like in the more peaceful way. Other than other people killed me, I will die like in a miserable way. But we
do have many lives.
And Rhonda lives in Egypt as well.
I did. I was a princess and a guard, and I have got tons of Egyptian things in my corner. I have a whole corner of Egyptian stuff.
Oh yeah, that's me. He said that's me. That's so interesting. But I think it's quite important for us to know what is shaman or what is shamanism, because a lot of the people, as I know at the moment, like they don't know what it is like they don't know, and they just call themselves as a shaman, and they just do the trainings or journeys. From my feeling, some of them they do really want to be a healer, but some people, like you said, have a good heart is the most important thing. Have a like straight heart and pure heart is the most important thing. Some people call themselves as a shaman for their own wish of power, or you know what I mean, the kind of a desire or whatever it is that hidden within their subconsciousness, and they do these things. But when they're doing that, or they want to help people for sure, but when they were doing that, they might have like negative or not happy consequences based on that kind of an intention.
Absolutely. It's so important to go with a pure heart, and you need to make friends with your spirit helpers, because they're the ones that actually do the work. You go, and you are the vessel that you bring back the story. That's why you go with the hollow bone. You have to get rid of your ego, your computer brain, and you got to go with a clear brain, and you watch and you do what your spirit guide tells you to do. One time I went on a journey, and my power animal, he said, "Turn into the carpet." And I was all of a sudden the carpet, and I was laying there as the carpet watching everything that happened. And it's a good thing, because it was a place that I wouldn't have been able to negotiate on my own. Yeah.
It feels like being brave, like you said, being brave is very important.
And you really need to trust your power animal or your spirit guide. And the only way you know how to do that is to be friends with them and go on hundreds of journeys first before you do some of this really deep work. It takes a long time. I shouldn't say that. Lots of people are very switched on, and they probably already have guides and helpers in the spirit world. So soul retrieval, particularly, how we ended up on the soul retrieval topic is it's something that is an advanced thing that you do after you've had many journeys, and hundreds of journeys I'm talking about, before you can really say that you know, with your work, it took years of training to be where you're at right now. Years of training, and then you can be, and it's the same with any profession that you do. And even as a child, you couldn't ride the bike the best and take all these leaps and jumps the first time you got on your bicycle. So I have trained a few young people before, and their egos tend to get in the way, and then they start fighting amongst each other and bragging, "Oh, I'm a shaman, I can heal, I can do this, I go on a journey and I found out this or that." And then, then pretty soon they're calling me up and saying the spirit world's not paying attention to me anymore. And this has happened more than once.
I think that's important. Even for me, even though I'm just like open up or tune on or whatever it is, like that happened just out of a sudden, like Rhonda knows the story. And now I'm just like in a psychic way, but I still need a lot of a practice, and I know it. Like I'm still practicing in a way, like That's why sometimes I took like a free reading just as a practice, because I know that my ego or my logic or my emotion
and your training is a different kind of training. It's a speaking training. You're a counselor. And so you learn psychology about, speaking through the problem, identifying it, putting it there. I do the energy work, and the healing. Some people need to talk, but they also are not going to be healed without some change of consciousness, change of vibration, change of energy. And that's really what a shamanist does. They're gardeners of energy.
That's awesome.
And I also have a radio program. Can I tell them?
Of course. Sure. Rhonda has a radio program.
I have a radio program on every Friday at 11 a.m. in Canberra. And it's all around the world. You can tune in on your computer. 2xxfm.org.au. You go to On Demand, and you find my program called Back to Earth on Friday at 11 a.m. Click on that, and you'll see 6 recorded programs that you can listen back to. So I'd love for you to tune in.
Yeah, just tune in, because Rhonda is going to talk about the earth, like the energy, the earth, the spiritual things, and anything that you guys found it so interesting, and the vibration, all sorts of things that she's talking about, and also the mind, soul, spirit things, which is really interesting. And I will type the program
perfect
down this video, and also down to my YouTube video. And I will type Rhonda's fan book here, and if anyone who's I'm sorry, because my audience, most of them speak Chinese.
Okay, that's okay.
English is awesome, and you want to have an experience about soul retrieval, or you want to learn how the shamanist can work, or you want to learn something about the shamanism, and Rhonda is the best that I know at the moment to go to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you've had experience of healing.
I do. Yeah. I was so close. I like in the first beginning of my a spirit journey. I literally thought about whether I would become a shaman previously, because I could connect with all these elements, and I can connect it.
Water.
I can connect it with water. Yeah, I show you that.
You have a beautiful water spirit that helps you.
Yes. But I don't know why I decided to become a counselor.
I also am a mentor and a counselor. I'm a Reiki master. I'm an aromatherapist. I was talking to plants as a child. That's what the earth part for me is about. Really beautiful smell and plants. Yeah. That's how I started early in my life.
Oh wow, that's so early ago. Oh my god. That's a long journey. So anyone has any questions, probably we don't.
That's okay.
This is a live
Thank you
broadcast.
for listening.
Thank you for listening. Maybe if we found this is interesting, or I got any questions from this group and they were curious about the shaman or shamanism, and I probably will bring this question back to you.
Okay, that's fine. We can do this again if you want.
Yeah, and we can do it from here or from Clubhouse next time. Yeah, that'll be easier, because Clubhouse you just need to tap in. But we don't need but there's no face in Clubhouse.
Okay.
It's just videos.
Well, you saw us in person this time.
Yeah, you saw the person this time. Okay, is there any other things you think is important?
I think right now, and please ask Josie some questions, and we're in contact with each other, and so let us know what you think.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll see you next see you next guys next time. Yeah.